Hey everybody, Paul back here again. Been too long, but back here and putting the blood into ballistic blood bullets big time with a true horror zombie classic. One of the greats. Jorge Grau's The Living Dead at the Manchester Morgue. And by gum, let's chew this one over because it is blindingly bloody good. This is the new Synapse Steelbook edition, limited to just 6,000 editions, obviously released in America, so a little bit tricky to get hold of, but I secured mine nice and early, and I am now absolutely delighted to have this in person. It is just supreme, absolutely fantastic. This one's limited to just 6,000 editions, but it is region free, region A, B and C, so if you can get hold of this one, it's going to play, it's not going to be problematic, and it's just so very good. Those of you who know about the horror zombie greats, of course, you've got Lucio Fulci, George Romero, and you've got to put Jorge Grau, Spanish director, in amongst those, because this is a classic from 1974. This is the slipcover of it. I mean, you get lots of goodies with this. Absolutely fantastic. I like this. This is the original artwork, or sort of a hybrid of the original artwork from back in 1974 when the film was first released. And we've got some ulterior reverse artwork on the slipcover. A little bit more sort of that creepy aura about it, which is cool. We like something that's a little bit different, but it's not really doing it so well for me with that, but that's okay. I mean, it's the outside exterior protective cover, so no great shakes. It's there. Its first and foremost intent is to protect the goodies. And the goodies, no, we're not talking about Tim Brooke Taylor here. We are talking about the goodies as far as the Steelbook is concerned, and it is a stonker. It really is absolutely brilliant. If you're going to do a Steelbook, this is what you need to do. Absolutely incredible. And it is a fold out, fully landscape version Steelbook of some brilliance. Let's do that now. Let's open it up and have a look at it in all its resplendence. Wow, I mean, it's just above and beyond. Pun probably intended there, Lucio Fulci, the Beyond. We'll get to that in a second because it all connects together as well with people involved. But this is just, first of course we had George Romero with his Night of the Living Dead. That pretty much started it all off. But when it comes to hardcore blood, violence, makeup, brilliance, who would have thought from 1974 this movie would have set another trailblazing path ahead that would lead then, of course, into not just Dawn of the Dead, but that was set up, of course, from Night of the Living Dead by George Romero, but Lucio Fulci's Zombie Flesh Eaters. And again, we'll touch on that because it connects all in nicely, this. But it's just so resplendent, isn't it? Absolutely just fantastic. It really is. I mean, I know I'm gushing all over the place, but this is one of the best. It really is. Yeah, it costs that little penny extra, but when you get it, it's just, I think it's worth every penny. Absolutely fantastic. It really, really is. And the interior artwork, I am pleased to say, is there as well. There's no cutting corners here. This is exactly, I suspect, as Jorge Grau, if he were alive today, bless his soul, would have wanted this to be. He would have been thrilled and delighted with this, because Synapse, they have done an absolute... You could not ask for a better release of this film than this Steelbook edition. I suspect sometime down the line we're probably going to get a 4K release, but that's okay. It's going to be very, very difficult to supersede this. This is a must regardless. If a 4K later comes along, great, wonderful, fantastic, but this is the one to have, certainly now and for the future. As far as I'm concerned, it's just incredibly well done, absolutely awesome. These are the discs that sit nicely inside of the Blu-ray, DVD and soundtrack combo, and each of the discs has got its own artwork as well. There we go, that's the Blu-ray disc. Really so very good, so good. I mean, that's some artwork that those who know the film inside out will recognise that. Those of you who've not seen this film, hopefully this will be a real introduction for you, a real taster of just how good it is. If you love your horror film, if you love your zombie films and you've not seen The Living Dead at the Manchester Morgue, trust me, you need to jump on this. Not necessarily this, because it's an expensive one, but just please get the film, get it on Blu-ray, enjoy it, thrill to it, and be amazed at how damn good the practical effects are even to this day. You cannot remake this film with the brilliance of the effects applied to this film, trust me. It is pretty much second to none. It's just amazing. For me, Lucio Fulci's Zombie Flesh Eaters, of course, is just absolutely fantastic. This, with the practical effects and the sheer horror quality of the film, is so close to Zombie Flesh Eaters. And then I'd go with Dawn of the Dead. That's my... Okay, some people can say, yeah, we love Dawn of the Dead. Of course, it's a great film. But those pasty zombies today, the older it gets, the sort of flakier they look. And it's a great story, of course. Great cast, great director. But for me, the two quintessential zombie films for makeup, director, horror, that have held their place down time and not degraded in any shape or form, it's Zombie Flesh Eaters and The Living Dead at the Manchester Morgue. Every time for me. Just love both of them. And Living Dead at the Manchester Morgue is still a film. When I put it on, it still manages to actually raise the hair on the back of my neck and creeps me out. There are some scenes in this film that are still startlingly scary today. Never mind about shocking with the gore. The soundtrack, the acting, the locations, the sheer eeriness of the picture is just unmatchable. Absolutely incredible. So there we go. We've got the Blu-ray and the DVD versions, and they're different artwork again for the soundtrack. So pop that into your car, put the window down, drive through your town, and get arrested probably. But if you're going to get arrested, why the hell not? And maybe get arrested by the star lead actor, old school Hollywood, in the inspector in this movie is Arthur Kennedy. So if you're going to get pulled over, make sure it's Arthur Kennedy. He'd understand. If you say Manchester zombies, he'll look at you quizzically and then say, okay, move along, sir. It's just crazy cool. It really is. I mean, these discs, you know, fit into the sort of nestle in nicely there. I mean, it's just so very good. I love this, and I cannot wait to watch the movie again. It's been a long time, and I've never seen it in HD. This should probably, with the quality that we're now going to be able to look at, with the eeriness of the film, it's just going to go to the next level. So if you hear on a quiet summer late night an eerie, chilling scream of glee, it may well just be me. Absolutely fantastic. Do really love this. And let's just bring in there's a little card there that comes a sort of smaller J card that nestles inside the Steelbook edition as well. It just tells you about the film. And this is actually the first time, I do believe, that the film has been released not only fully uncut, but in the correct ratio. Not since the Japanese Laserdisc has the proper ratio actually been seen. I mean, it's all been sort of full screen or close to the 1.85 to 1, but they never quite got it right. It was always a little bit sort of squeezed, so you didn't actually get the proper ratio. This has corrected all of that, and you get the wonderful soundtrack that comes with it, and there we go, unrated, and also all region, as mentioned earlier. Just wonderful, wonderful stuff. Absolutely fantastic. You also, of course, as would be expected, get a little booklet that comes with the release, and there's a picture again of the new artwork that's shown on the slipcover, and it's a small little booklet, but it tells you about the film, the director George Grau, the lead actors. Of course, Ray Lovelock is the lead actor in this movie, and he is of Italian descent, and this is a Spanish-Italian co-production, so of course they wanted to bring in the Italians, one of theirs, and Ray Lovelock was just not really just starting his career, but he was he was in a lot of the films around that time, horror films, police crime dramas, some hard-hitting stuff, and he was only about 23, 24 years of age, but he had a very, very good career in these Italian horror, police action, and some giallo stuff as well. And as also did his young, attractive Spanish female co-star in the film, a lady called Cristina Galbo, similar sort of age, and to Ray Lovelock, and together they are, or their characters are the two young leads in the movie, being chased or being sort of pursued by Arthur Kennedy's character, who's an investigating police inspector, because there's been a murder in the sort of rural areas of the English countryside, and both the two young people are under his suspicion. But of course we know pretty soon that it's not a murder at all, it's a blood gouging gore down of zombies on the loose in the Manchester region. And of course it all ends up around the Manchester Morgue, and it just grabs you from the start and does not let go. It is just absolutely incredible. Living Dead at the Manchester Morgue, 1974, Spanish director George Grau. And the movie, I mean, this is so well known, maybe infamous even, that around the world there were 16 alternate titles on top of the Living Dead at the Manchester Morgue. But that's my preferred title. That's the title I've always known it as. But people also know it as Let Sleeping Corpses Lie, which I think was the American title. I think that was what it was released on in DVD back in the day. But also Breakfast at the Manchester Morgue, but so many other titles as well. But here's one of the interesting things as well about the movie. When it was reissued, due to the success of Dawn of the Dead and Zombie Flesh Eaters, it played around 1979, 1980 again in a reissued print under the title of Zombie 3. So that was the first Zombie 3 title applied to The Living Dead at the Manchester Morgue, of course, to cash in on Dawn of the Dead, and then of course Fulci's 1979 release Zombie Flesh Eaters was known as Zombie 2. So naturally they thought, hey, you know, this zombie thing is catching on. Let's go back and look at George Grau's movie, Living Dead at the Manchester Morgue, and let's call it Zombie 3. and it made a nice amount of money on its re-release, and deservedly so. I had the opportunity to watch this in its re-release in my hometown. I was certainly underage for an 18 movie. X-rated it was when it was released. I think I was about 14. But my friends from school crept out and got to see it, but didn't tell me about it, and it stuck with me forever. Just niggled me forever. I had the opportunity at Eastleigh in Southampton, at the Regal Cinema, to see The Living Dead at the Manchester Morgue way back when. I mean, that would have been a fantastic experience. But not long after that, during, of course, the home video era of the 80s, I got to see it, and wow, never looked back. This with Zombie Flesh Eaters are the two Italian-Spanish horror pinnacles that made me love their genres, and their way of making movies just absolutely fantastic. But Living Dead at the Manchester Morgue, Spanish-Italian co-production, as I mentioned, and young Italian star Ray Lovelock brought in as the lead, George, alongside Spanish-born actress Christina Galbo, and old-school Hollywood-American actor Arthur Kennedy is, as I mentioned, perfectly cast as a grumpy old police inspector investigating both the young star character actors on suspicion of murder in the rural English countryside. But of course it's the recently risen dead chowing down on the locals, as Mr. Kennedy soon comes to realise. Now this one's got a fantastic twist at the end of the movie, very satisfying twist. You've not seen the film, it's one of those great twist endings that you're gonna love. Absolutely fantastic, and it works with repeat viewings as well. It's just, as I say, got that real air of eeriness throughout that is just absolutely wonderful. So difficult to recreate, particularly in this modern world, and for modern horror audiences who just don't know what they're missing if they've not watched this wonderful slice of 70s gore, horror, zombie brilliance. And the fantastic exterior shots on location work as well as in England, set around Manchester, Derbyshire, Sheffield and Cheshire, which is where the amazing hospital slaughter scene is filmed at Barnes Hospital in Cheadle. There are several standout sequences in this movie. I'm not going to mention it because it would just, anybody who hasn't seen it, it will just spoil the film, and you just have to experience it for yourself. But there's a hospital scene, and there's a graveyard scene. They're just, I mean, this is taken from the graveyard scene, and there's the lead zombie actor there, which is, it's got a funny story in itself actually. This chap is called Fernando Hilbuck, a fellow Spaniard and friend, working colleague of director Jorge Grau. But when you watch the film, either for the first time or if you remember watching it, pay special attention this time when you do rewatch it, if it hasn't been noticed before. This zombie character is always looking dripping wet, and the reason for that, which is like a side story, but I don't think it touches on it in the film or explains it, but the reason his zombie character is dripping wet is because he drowned and came back out of the river as the zombie, and the lead zombie here. But it all connects to, I believe from memory now, that it's like a satellite taken from the same sort of scenario from Romero's Night of the Living Dead, or a satellite, something in the satellite that crashes to Earth in the rural regions of England causes the recently dead, to rise up. Be interesting if they did do something along a remake or revisit as to how or why or if at all it affected animals, and you had sort of zombie animals, mixing that with today's state-of-the-art effects would be quite incredible. But this character, anyway, this actor, Fernando Hilbert, he was always wet throughout the film because his character drowned. But he didn't find that very funny, because apparently George Grau did find it funny to constantly keep him wet on set. But Hilbert was not amused. So look out for that. The reason he's wet is because his character, before he rose up as a zombie, drowned. But that scene in the cemetery, the morgue, it's outstanding. There was talk of one of the scenes it was said to be missing or never filmed or forever lost. Now has been confirmed that there's an eyeball eating scene, but that's not in this version. It is now believed that the scene, if it was shot, it was certainly intended in the script, but it has certainly been lost forever, so we're never going to get to see that, if it was at all ever filmed. But don't worry about that. There is plenty of incredible gut munching and body pulling apart, ripped apart. It's just scary as hell. It really is. It still works today, as I say. It is so very good. And of course the outstanding makeup practical effects from none other than Italian great Giannetto De Rossi, and he's still active today. That's how much he's revered. But of course Giannetto De Rossi also, probably no surprise, worked on Lucio Fulci's 1979 classic zombie flesh eaters, and then of course he worked with Fulci again for The Beyond and The House by the Cemetery, the trilogy of terror zombie brilliance with Lucio Fulci. And Lucio Fulci, not only the connection with Giannetto De Rossi to The Living Dead at the Manchester Morgue, but the hospital scene as well. It's not recreated, but it's certainly an influence to Fulci for his The Beyond, which has got its own hospital Living Dead sequence as well. Just amazing. All of the things all connecting together. So dead good. And that pun is intended. Just brilliant. One other thing as well that you get with this wonderful set that I've been leaving till last, that Steelbook is fantastic, but you also get the poster of that newly commissioned artwork for the film. There it is. You get that folded up inside with this collector's set, and that is just George Grau, gory, great, fantastic stuff. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Do please let me know your thoughts on The Living Dead at the Manchester Morgue and the films of George Grau. And you know, people like Ray Lovelock and Arthur Kennedy. He made a lot of Italian stuff as well, horror films, and also the police action films and some giallo. Really good stuff all around. But let me know your thoughts just on anything. Any questions you'd like to ask me, please do. Be always, as ever, very happy to answer. And just get a conversation going about The Living Dead at the Manchester Morgue, but this particularly about this wonderful, wonderful Steelbook edition. Thank you all so very much once again for dropping by, checking out the video. Really always appreciate it. This one is particularly brilliant, as I hope you agree. It's just absolutely wonderful, wonderful stuff. And I keep saying it till the zombie cows come home. Moo! Werewolf? There, wolf! Zombie! Okay, I'll take my medication soon and then sit down and watch the movie and revel in all its HD goodness. Thanks very much, guys. Take care. See you all soon. Bye for now.